Welcome to the Equipping Leaders podcast. I'm Natasha, and my goal is to equip leaders with tools to make their leadership journey easier and more expansive. Today, I'm going to talk about ego. And usually, when the word ego comes up, it's not associated with good things. We tend to say that those who are overly arrogant or seemingly narcissistic have too much ego. But the ego itself is neutral, it's a person's sense of self esteem or of self importance. And when we use that lens, we can easily see how it could get out of control. However, we do need to have a healthy dose of ego because that's what drives us towards our goals and makes us believe that we can actually accomplish them. I think we've all met people who seem to have an unrestrained ego. They're so engrossed in themselves that it's a wonder that they've survived to the age that they are, being so out of touch with reality. But like I said, that's an unrestrained ego. A healthy ego is something that will drive us forward towards our goals to be a better leader and to be a better team member. As leaders and as good teammates and humans in general, we can keep our egos in check in many different ways. So, some of which we can actually do on a daily basis. So, one, you can be open to feedback, and that is a really great way to keep our ego in check. Whether you're asking for feedback or someone's giving you feedback, being open to that, it really can help you kind of stay in that balanced place. So, even if we get feedback that we don't agree with, the appropriate response is thank you, right? I've certainly received feedback that I didn't agree with on multiple occasions. I think we all have. But sometimes it's feedback that I needed, and I just needed a little time to process it and figure out how to use it. Now, other times I have received feedback that I didn't feel was based in anything real, so I logged it away to see if I received more feedback like that at some point in the future, because then I could recognize the pattern in myself and how I was showing up. Another thing you can do to keep your ego in check is to take your work seriously, but don't take yourself seriously. If you take yourself too seriously, you will absolutely fall into an ego trap because you'll have an inflated sense of self importance. But when we can take our work seriously, we give it the focus and effort it deserves and requires, and then we can take our foot off the gas when it comes to how seriously we regard ourselves. Next, you can face challenges and fears as often as possible. When we face these things, it encourages and empowers us to confront those things that would otherwise take us down as leaders. Leaders who engage and operate from a place of fear are not effective, they're not trustworthy, and they tend to crush the ideas and the engagement of those around them. If you make it a point to explore and then face your fears, you can keep your ego in check because you're not protecting it and making it even more fragile. So, what does a healthy ego look like for leaders? I want to walk you through a couple of examples. So, let's also keep in mind that no single person can demonstrate healthy ego all the time, consistently throughout their lifetime. We all have moments when we really shine as great examples of healthy egos, and others when we fall short. So, for those who are fans of the TV show Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Sergeant Terry Jeffords is an example of someone with a healthy ego. He is confident in his physical ability, he is confident in his own competence and that of his team, and is willing to stand up for them. There's an episode when Captain Holt is giving performance evaluations, and Sergeant Jeffords stands up for the team, for the talent on his team, by challenging Captain Holt on his approach. He had confidence, but he was not boastful. Another example is Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight Eisenhower's planning and response to D-Day is a good example of healthy ego. So he certainly had the most power in the room when planning D-Day, but he took the ideas and insights of the other leaders around him throughout that planning process. An important aspect of healthy ego is also being able to admit when you've made a mistake and take accountability and responsibility for it. While Eisenhower was able to give a speech celebrating the success of D-Day, he had also written a second speech for if it failed, where he took full responsibility for the failure of the operation. You know, I love to talk about cognitive bias, and the one that impacts how our egos show up the most is the egocentric bias, which means that we rely on our own opinion, background, experience, and perspective more than anyone else. We can work to overcome this bias by once again being open to other insights and ideas from the people around us. The more ideas that are present in the room, the better the path forward will become. Thank you for listening.